Welcome to Moving Through Midlife. I am your host, Courtney, a personal trainer and movement specialist who wants to help you move through midlife with more grace. Each week, we will discuss ways we can show up better for ourselves and our children without the burnout. We will focus on overall health through habit stacking to help increase energy, provide movement snacks to help you move more throughout the day while also moving your body more, and learn from professionals on moving through midlife with ease so that you can feel confident with aging gracefully. Grab your earbuds and join me on a leisurely walk while we discuss moving through midlife. Today, I'm speaking with Alicia Berberich about the negative chatter in our head. She is passionate about helping women unleash their true potential to become who they are meant to become. She works with women to release these shackles that bind them to their old ways of thinking so they can achieve their goals using motivation, mindset, and manifesting skills to provide the resources her clients need to move forward with confidence and gusto. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Alicia. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm excited to have you here um, to talk to us about this negative voice in our head and what we can do to help kind of move through this and more positive thoughts. And I wanted to ask you what got you started because you also help women manifest, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So can you help explain to us how you got started in this and also what exactly you help women do with manifesting?
I'm so excited to talk to you about that. And the thing is, people do what they need. So, like the organizer, what is because she really needed everything to be super organized or whatever it is. People do what they need. I teach water aerobics because I need to work out and I hate working out. So I deal with this negative voice in my head or in anyone's head because I've had this negative voice in my head for so long and it was controlling my decisions. And I finally decided enough is enough and we need to get control over this. And for any of your listeners out there, just the awareness that the negative voice in your head is not you, it's just a part of you that's talking at you, is such a giant step. So,
Okay, perfect. With this negative voice in our head, like what are the steps that you have women go through to kind of, is it like a redirect? Do you have to redirect your brain or because I notice it happens constantly throughout our day. I don't know. I'm assuming it's all of us that this happens. It's just if it's not one thing, it's the next, it's the next. And I find that it gets really hard to know when to listen to it as like maybe a warning and then when to let it go and realize that it is, not there for good intent.
right. So, and it's such a good question because is it your intuition that's talking to you and trying to guide you on your path, or is it that negative voice in your head that's trying to keep you in a box or limit you in some way? And it's such a good question because people really get confused over that issue. And so I'm going to address that right away and
Okay.
say there you can definitely tell the difference between your intuition and the negative voice in your head because your intuition is very curious and it asks questions and it's nuanced and wants you to think like, you should be aware of this, like you should look out, like someone's walking behind you, pay attention to this. And it's sending up little red flags. And the negative voice in your head is this harsh critic voice that's like, you are so stupid. What do you think you're doing? Don't you have any sense? What are you doing out walking out like this at night? Like it just comes down like a ton of bricks. Or sometimes the negative voice in your head tries to be subtle and is like, oh, well, that's a good idea if you were 6, but you're 36. So maybe you should think about something else. Or what makes you think you can be a photographer? Like you've taken pictures, but no one ever wants to look at them. So it's like the tone and the nuance is so different between your intuition trying to help you and the voice in your head, which is trying to really ram something down your throat. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how that negative voice got there in your head. And it's
Okay.
something that, I just have a brief story, but I was talking to my husband one time and I said, do you have this negative voice in your head that's always saying these mean, horrible things to you? And he's like, no. Like, you don't? He's like, no, I don't ever know what you're talking about. This negative voice in your head all the time. And he just doesn't think that way. Like, it just doesn't happen to him. And I'm like, is this a male thing and a female thing? But there are a lot of men who have this negative voice in their head, but it seems to be predominantly women. And he never has this voice in his head. He's like, no, my voice is telling me things like, I think I'm going to clean the kitchen, or I think I'm going to cook something else, like never giving him negative guidance. So I thought that was interesting. But between like even before we're born until we're about 7, we're running on these very elementary brain waves, and things just come in and we don't have a filter system yet. And so they come into our minds and we just accept it as the way of being. So for instance, if you're 5 years old and your mom says to you, don't cross the street, you think, don't cross the street. Your mom's just trying to keep you safe. And it's all advice that's just trying to keep you safe. But your brain hears, don't cross the street. And then you see other people crossing the street and you think, oh, how come they can cross the street and I can't cross the street? What's wrong with me? And so then you see that there's a difference between you and other people. And then your brain thinks, oh, don't cross the street. And then it generalizes that statement into other things. Oh, don't take that pencil, or don't do this, or don't do that. And what became as a statement that was meant to help you with your safety is suddenly something that's holding you back and keeping you from trying new things, because you think something bad is going to happen if you do that, because of this ingraining in your brain. Don't cross the street becomes generalized or globalized across the board. And so then we get all these scripts that are in our head playing, and it's just old scripts it's very good advice when you're 5 or 4 or 7. But then when you're like 40, it's like, you don't need that kind of advice anymore. You need to be getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things and doing different things. But you still have these old tapes that are playing in your brain. And the best advice I can give to women that I work with on my clients is just, like I mentioned in the beginning, is to build an awareness, because these are playing on automatic repeat. And we're not even aware that it's going on in our minds anymore. You say to yourself, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. Like, we're so hard to ourselves. And it's just taking a brief moment and saying, oh, that's the negative voice in my head that's talking to me, or at me is really what it's happening, but it's talking to me. So creating that awareness is the first thing. And then acknowledging the voice in your head so that you realize it's separate from you because it's talking to you. And then learn to appreciate the voice, because when you appreciate it, obviously it feels appreciated. But just saying, oh, I know you're trying to keep me safe. I know you're trying to do this. And then like kill it with kindness. I really appreciate that you're trying to keep me safe. And I know that that was very good advice for a 5-year-old, but I'm just going to try these different things and I'm going to move forward with this, so that instead of trying to be negative about it and trying to push it down, which doesn't work anyway, because he just boils up somewhere else, you just trying to kill it with love or appreciation really helps. And I always try to get people just to turn it down a little bit, like a radio box, like turn down the volume so it's just not so loud, so that you can think clearly. And then move forward with courage. Action is the best way to overcome that negative voice in your head. Move forward with courage. And I'm sure your guests are familiar with Brene Brown, but she says, like, courage doesn't mean you don't have the fear. You have the fear, but you move forward anyway. And that's the act of courage. And so when you have that negative voice in your head, just becoming aware, acknowledging, appreciating it, loving on it, and then act with courage, really the steps to move forward, so that you're creating new steps and new, neuroplasticity, neural pathways in your brain, so that you're not suffering all the time with that negative voice. I mean, it still comes, but at least you have a way of dealing with it and not letting it dominate.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is this something that you can gain control over to where you have them less, or you just tend to listen to them less?
It just gets to be not so loud.
Okay. Okay.
But it's like, it's a neural pathway that's been worked on for a long time. So that's a deep road, and we're trying to create new roads that are more positive.
Okay. Let me ask you another question in regard to the negative talk, because sometimes I notice after I will get together with a friend or something, we'll be talking. I go back through everything that I may have said that would be misconstrued. Is that part of that negative? Like that's these loops that people talk about. Is that all part of the same type of thing within our brain, or is that separate?
I think that's separate. So that's your analytical side. You're analyzing the conversation and looking for something one way or the other.
Assuming it's all wrong. Like I don't go into it thinking like, oh, like I try to figure out where I may have, I don't want to say messed up, but where I may have said something that may have been taken the wrong way.
So it's an interpretation, and the thing is you're trying to figure out how someone else interpreted something.
Mm.
And we never know, like we look through the world through our own filters and our own set of glasses, and we never know what the other person is thinking. We know how they respond to it, but we don't know their experiences and what's going on. So this is part of like the acceptance part. Okay, that was the conversation that we had, and now we can move forward from that. But you always have to look at what lens am I looking at this conversation through? Is it like through a friend's lens versus a consulting lens or an interviewing lens, and see how that is. And put on the right set of glasses that, become conscious of how you're looking at the glasses that you have on.
Okay. I was just curious about that. So
Yeah.
with women, with moms in midlife, the two things that tend to come up with this negative mindset, and you can feel free to run whichever way you prefer with this, is this feeling of how they feel inside when they look at themselves and see how life is changing them physically. So that's one of them. And then the other one is more in the way of, and it's amazing how many women that my friends that are going through this midlife, and we're trying not to call it a crisis, but like this evolution within us, where we are seeing that what has served us as career, the path that we have chosen is no longer serving us the way that we thought it would, or it's just a change in our life and evolution, and we're now looking at a different path. How that negative mindset or negative talk in our head is keeping us stuck from pushing forward. So feel free to choose whichever path you'd prefer.
Yeah. No, it's hard because I refer to this midlife area as the messy middle, because as women, we have so much going on in terms of taking care of other people. And whether it's kids, the house, the dog, like everyone seems to get priority before we get priority. And being able to step back and realize, unless you take care of yourself and your own needs, the other things are not going to be taken care of as well as they could be. So self-care is super critical at this point. And that's really the self-care is a part, not just of about how you're feeling about your body, but in terms of getting the right sleep, eating the right foods, getting the right exercise so that you feel good with your energy management, because energy management is a big part of it. I think we tend to spiral down when we're not getting the sleep we need, when we're not getting the right kinds of food to eat, when we're not exercising, because when you're exercising, your serotonin's going and you're feeling really good about things. So once you get into a negative spiral, it's hard to get out of it. So in terms of, I think negative body image is really hard for women, but I think if they can really focus on their self-care and keeping their energy going and remembering that they're a priority in this messy middle, because we're focusing so much on other people, then as you move through that time, because that's just a season of your life. And, like you go to school, you work, you get married, you have kids, those are all different seasons. And so really being able to enjoy that season while you're in there is really important. And I can say, as someone who's like gone through the messy middle and is exiting on the other side, my 3 kids are all in college. Things shift and get better, and then you can focus on your own needs more as you get older, which is very obvious. But the thing that I really wanted to say is that we're all here for a purpose. And in this season, when we have kids and we're taking care of our kids, our real purpose is sort of on the back plate. And as you get more time, as your kids become more independent, the purpose inside of you is calling you louder and louder to what you're being called to serve for, what you're here for. And the negative voice in your head comes in and says, that's ridiculous. Why are you listening to that? That has nothing to do with where you are now. But the voice in your head, or your purpose and calling, still comes out in a strong way and really drives your energy. And that's why getting a handle on that negative voice in your head is so important. But as you get older, your purpose here becomes louder than the voice in your head. And even though it's trying to take over, you have the inner fortitude to overcome that voice in your head and really do what you're called to serve to do. But it is very difficult to listen to that. I know that when you're in the messy middle and you have, I think, just like you're saying, you have a podcast, you want to do that, but then you have to wait because you have to homeschool your kids. I mean, things happen during the day and you can't always focus on what you want to do because other things come up. But you do end up finding the energy and the fortitude to move forward through it. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It does, and leads me to something else, because I feel like that's something I'm hearing a lot of as well, like your purpose. And I think that is so overwhelming to people. Like they'll hear like, what is your purpose? You've got to find your purpose to move forward. And I think that can be really overwhelming. Like, I think this is my purpose, but what if it's not? And then this is happening, or this negative self-talk is coming in and it's making me question, like, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe this isn't the path I'm supposed to be taking. So is there a way to kind of figure out? I mean, I know you mentioned that your purpose will just continue to push through. So I'm hoping that ultimately it's going to shine whether I am going that way or not, right?
Well, what happens is when you're on your path, you get so much energy and you're excited to do what you're doing and you feel this energy. So you want to keep moving down that path. And your purpose, like this year, your purpose could be one thing, and next year it could move on to something else. It's an evolution. As you are evolving, so does your purpose. It's not the same thing at each season of your life, as I call it. So, but when you're doing something where you're feeling energized and excited about it, then you know that you're really on the right path. And that doesn't mean that the path is easy. It can still be really hard and challenging what you're doing, but you're energized from it just the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there an action step? Is there something we can do to start figuring out what our purpose is?
Well, that's something that I really encourage people to do, is really to connect with their future self. And that's in part of the coaching program that I work with women, is we really do exercises to connect with your future self so that you can understand like where you're supposed to be in 20 years and what does that look like and what is the path to get there and how do you connect with your future self to move in that direction and get advice with that person. So just doing like a simple meditation of thinking about what you want to be doing in 20 years, or how, not what you want to be doing, but how you want to feel in 20 years, and really connecting with the feelings of that and figuring out how to bring those feelings into your body every day is what's going to help you get on the right path. So I know you had talked a while ago about mindset and really bringing your mindset in, and that's a large part of the manifesting work that I do, is to get people to really connect with their energy and the feeling that they want to bring into their body, and do that every morning before you get out of bed. Like, talk about habit stacking. When you're waking up, just figuring out, what is it that I really want in my life, and taking a time in the past that you're familiar with where you had that feeling that you desire, and pulling that, just visually pulling that feeling into your body so you can have that feeling in your body, that energy in your body. And then during the day, because you pulled that energy in, you're emitting that energy out so you connect with other things that are on a similar wavelength, on a similar energy pattern as you. So that's how you're really finding the things that you're meant to do, because you're in that energy state and you're attracting equal energy state.
Okay. Now, what if we're doing something that no longer is resonating with us? Is there, like, do you just like drop it and let it go? Or how do you handle?
And those things feel so heavy, and that's like, it just feels so heavy. Like, I used to have to cook dinner every day, and it was so heavy. It's like, okay, I'm just going to let this go, and like somebody else can do the cooking, or do a meal assembly instead of, like, you find other alternatives that can serve you in a better way so that it's not so draining emotionally on you. Looking for other resources, or connecting with people like Ben Hardy wrote a book. It's called Who, Not How. So figuring out who can help you get the things done that you need to be done. It's not always figuring out the how, like, oh, I have to get dinner on the table every night. How am I going to do that? But who can help you with that? How can you delegate? Maybe your kids are in high school and they can do cooking. Maybe you can have trade with a friend, like this Tuesday she cooks, next Tuesday you cook. Like, there's all kinds of creative solutions because women are so good at finding solutions. So really figuring out what's going to help serve me best in this picture can be really helpful.
That helps me personally.
Oh, good,
I'm like
good.
thinking of myself in that situation. Okay. With finding our purpose, and you had mentioned there's an evolution to it. You said just like to sit with it and to imagine how you want to feel through this. Is that something that, if I'm sitting there and just saying, this is how I want to feel, will it naturally come to me, or am I trying to draw something towards you? Is that what you're trying to do, or is it something coming up from within?
If you watch The Secret, then you get the idea that you can just visualize what you want and it's going to come. Like, you're going to align with the energy of the universe and it's going to come just by visualizing it. Like, if you think about it hard enough and long enough, you're going to win the lottery and get millions of dollars. But the universe doesn't work that way.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. I mean, it's really important to have a image of what you desire in your mind, and connect with the energy of that. But it's really important to take inspired action to move you in that direction.
Okay.
So, like, if you are, thinking about, you really want dinner on the table, sitting there thinking about it is not going to help that much. But taking 3 inspired actions of, like calling and having something delivered or going to pick something up, that's going to get it to happen in a lot more real time. So with manifesting, I look at several, it's like having the desire and being really clear on your desire, whether it's a thing or a feeling that you want. It can be either. It doesn't have to be like, you may be desiring laying on the beach in Naples, Florida, maybe, I don't know, but that could be what you're desiring is, but it could be just the feeling of the warmth on your skin when you're living in Wisconsin and it's freezing. Like, that's what you desire, and connecting with the energy of that, and paying attention for the saboteurs, I call it, because this is something that really interferes. The negative voice in your head is one saboteur that really holds people back. But there are other saboteurs, like the voice in your head is your internal, then you have external saboteurs. It could be like friends who have seen you since high school and have this particular image of you, but that's not the image where you are now because you've been evolving and maybe they haven't been evolving. And really, I always tell this, and I'm sure you say the same thing to your kids, you become like the 5 people you hang out with. So if those are the people you hang out with, are your aspirations the same as their aspirations? Because that's what's going to happen. You need to be with people who are going to ignite your energy and inspire you to move forward. So being really careful. And a lot of times people have issues because sometimes it's people in their own family that are holding them back and limiting their potential. I was just thinking of Matilda, the movie with Danny DeVito. Like, she had so much potential, and her parents and her brother were just holding her back and trying to keep her in an old place. But there was no holding her back. Like, she was going to move ahead without them. And so being able to really visualize and move on. And then the environment can be holding you back. Like, if you want to be a ski instructor and you live in Naples, Florida, I mean, that's an issue. So just figuring out how the environment is serving you or not serving you so that you can create the environment that you really need to thrive and achieve your goals. And then taking the inspired actions is another one. It's 3 inspired actions every day towards what it is that you're manifesting. And then the other really big part is gratitude. And I'm sure you've had a lot of people talk to you about gratitude. And I'm very particular in the use of gratitude. And we had talked earlier about habit stacking. And so I really think gratitude is so pivotally important that I tried to marry gratitude with brushing my teeth.
Okay.
So every day when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm thinking of 3 different things that I'm grateful for. And the little trick about this is that with gratitude, you can be grateful for what you don't have yet and just bring it into the present. So if you say you want oh, I want to be one of the top 5 podcasters for women in going through midlife. And then thinking about I am using an I am statement, so it's present tense. I am one of the top 5 podcasters for midlife women, and then adding onto that the because statement, so the gratitude marries in with the emotion of it, because that supercharges it. Because I know women really need the help that I bring them. Really, how are you serving and giving? So that makes your gratitude statement exponentially more important. So what you desire, your energy, overcoming your saboteurs, giving thanks, inspired actions, navigating on your path, making sure you don't get distracted by all the bright, shiny objects that are continually happening and trying to get us off our path, and really looking for clues along your way with your manifesting that you're on the right path. Like little things will happen. You'll run into somebody that you were thinking about, or you'll hear something on the news that's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed to know right now. So you get information along the way that lets you know that you're on the right path. Just connecting and paying attention with that's really helpful. So those are my manifesting program is called Manifest with Destiny, because it's the desire, the energy, the saboteurs, the thanks, the inspired actions, navigating your path, and your cues are the outline of it.
Okay. So there's like 5 things I wanted to talk about
Oh, okay.
based on
Sorry.
what you said, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna try to drive it into just a couple. One, going back to kind of that negative talk and how you were speaking about gratitude. So I have heard where people are speaking about the I am statement, how that negative talk can then turn on you and be like, well, I know I'm not. Is that just working on what you had mentioned before, to help quiet that voice so that you can continue? Because that would be like a portion of what gratitude and manifestation, trying to pull that feeling more so.
Yeah. And like when that negative voice comes in and says that, I always want to say to it, oh, just watch me. Just watch me,
Okay.
I'm going to be like, I have the power. I can do this. Like really pulling in your energy to say that I am. So that's going to use that as a fuel for your fire to really get going.
I
So
like that, because I think a lot of us are that way inside. Like, darn it, you just watch me.
yeah,
I'll prove you wrong.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I like that. And then also you mentioned these outside things happening that make you question what you're like, that path that you're going on. I'm wondering, is there a way, because I feel like so many of us, we get into these like trying to listen for what's next, that next step, and then something happens and now we're like, oh well, maybe that wasn't the next step. So how do you kind of move through that, these external things happening to you?
Yeah, it's really hard to know what is your purpose and if you're on the right path. And oftentimes we think we're on the right path, and then something comes, and then we realize, oh, that was just a distraction. But everything happens for a reason. So you're like, maybe you have particular lessons that you need to learn. So you're on that path so that you can learn these lessons, which is going to really help you further down the road. And just being alert and paying attention to the signs and signals is going to really serve you.
Okay. And then what do we do if we are, surround yourself with the 5 people? And you also spoke about our environment. So obviously, for many of us, we can't change our environment. We can't just get up and move. And we may not be able to just walk away from the 5 people that are surrounding us, especially for those of us in midlife. Like, we tend to be kind of, I want to say, close knit to our home, but you have that, the people directly around you that
Insular,
are
yeah.
there. Yeah. So is there a way to change your environment
Mitigate.
without changing your environment?
So the thing that's really helpful is to have mentors or role models or people who are really supporting you and encouraging you on your side that can help you, create like insulation against the negative effects that you have, because negative people are always going to be there. You just don't want them inside your head.
Okay.
So And I tell my clients, like, maybe you don't have any positive role models in your environment right now, but who in a movie that you've seen has acted really boldly and bravely, and you want to emulate that kind of persona and have that kind of persona, and you can use that, like, so like say you really adore Meryl Streep. And so like, well, what would Meryl Streep do in this situation? And, just because having something like that that you can have with you all the time and you can pull out and it can help you through whatever situation you're in. But
Okay.
having just like some friends or sister or whoever that you can call and say, oh my God, I mean, I'm sure you do this already. You just are not going to believe what happened to me today. And they can really empathize with you. And a lot of times you just need to vent. It's really important that your friends understand the difference between venting and asking for advice, because a lot of times you just need to vent to get it out and you're not looking for any advice at all. So being able to make that point of difference has really improved my relationship with my sister. But I'm just venting.
I was going to say, that's like my husband. He's like, I come in and I just vent and let it all out on him. And he's like, I don't know what to, because they're the fixers of it. And he's trying to fix the problem. I'm like, no, just shush.
Yeah.
Listen.
I don't have to fix it. You just have to
Yeah.
help me with it.
Because he's like, I don't know how to handle all this right now.
Just being there is enough.
Okay. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you and if there's anything that you're currently offering
Oh,
as
I
well?
just wanted to say one more thing about the environment before I do that, because
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of times we think we're stuck in our environment. But my mother used to do this all the time when she was fighting with my father. Like we would go to bed and then I would wake up in the morning and she would have moved all the furniture around in the living room because it changes the flow of energy in the room and she wants
Mm,
the energy to be different. So when you're feeling stuck and like nothing changes until something changes, well, change the furniture or change the way the glasses are in the cabinet or change your underwear drawer, change something so that it's just moving the energy around your space in a different way. And that can change your whole perspective on things. It's super simple, but it's really impactful. So I really wanted to say that. So, because in March, in February, I have these women on my mailing list, and anyone can join my mailing list. But I did in March, in February was the February detox month, and every
yeah, I
day.
saw that.
Oh, you did, yeah. So we've been
Yeah, I
getting
saw that you were
9 things
pulling
every
things
day.
out,
Yeah,
getting rid of. Yeah.
right. Because I really wanted to change their energy. So it's a new year. We're going to change things up. So in January, we did an intermittent fasting, change up our body. And in February was the physical detox. And March, we're going to do mix and mingle. So you have to meet new friends and make new connections. So I'm really pushing them to do that. So I think we get too stuck in
Okay.
our ways and we need to be pushed to do something different. So anyway, you're the first person to hear that. I haven't even told them yet.
No, that's great because we get comfortable, complacent, comfortable. Okay.
Right. And then you're sad that you don't have any new friends. And it's like, well, you're not making any effort. Like go talk to someone. Like there's people out there who are lonely.
And they might be one of those new 5 people to surround yourself with.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And sitting home at your table by yourself moping about it is not going to help the situation. So get out. So anyway, I'm a big motivator. So anyway, my name is Alicia Berberich and my website is just aliciaberberich.com. And if you come to my website, if you are interested in manifesting, I have a free 30-day manifesting habit builder. And you just get an email every day for 30 days that's going to help you build the habit of manifesting. So we focus on something different each day, and you get just a little story and a quote and a little checklist. So, and it's free, and it's just to build the habit of manifesting. And if you join my mailing list, then you'll find all about my Mix and Mingle March.
And then for these women, I just want one actionable step they can take to either get rid of the negative talk or work on changing their environment, whatever.
Yeah. To remember when they're brushing their teeth to say their gratitude statements. But the
Okay.
thing I really, 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 really want people to do is the energy movement, which is like before you get out of bed, think about, already have planned in your head the time when you felt your most awesome, really had positive energy and felt great. Like maybe you were skiing down a mountain, maybe you were giving a presentation and you were just totally in flow. And before you get out of bed, think about that time and pull that energy into your body So it's really filling you with this really wonderful positive energy before you get out of bed to attack your day. So it's something that really nurtures you from the inside. And that is just like the most awesome thing you can do to get your day off on the right foot, connecting with that positive energy that's all about you and bringing that with you as you go through your day. And anytime you get stuck or are feeling negative, then just go back to reconnect with that energy. It's portable. You can take it anywhere and it serves you so well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day for this conversation.
Oh, it was super fun. I just hope your readers can do some habit stacking and bring all this into their life.
Excellent. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found something to take away to help you practice healthier habits, move more, or handle the midlife and aging with grace. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or leave us a review to help us reach more moms just like you. Head to movingthroughmidlife.com to join the free community or learn how you can move more and feel better in your daily life.